Fast, free delivery from the Home Depot makes your projects hassle-free. Forget something you need? Visit HomeDepot.com or the Home Depot app for free delivery on millions of products, including same-day and next-day options. Get delivery at the speed you need, only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select in-stock items by 4 p.m., subject to availability.
We have been told that we are the big boys in town.
Well, he's yapping. He's into it. I'm talking about he is like lit.
He's about to start preaching.
Let everybody say amen.
I can get chills a little bit thinking about what these two guys could be.
We are back on the Falcons Audible presented by AT&T, and I know it's been a long time since the Falcons were on the football field. You might be taking this in on a Wednesday when it's our normal day that we're released, and shoot, fellas, that was almost a week ago that they ended up playing.
That's crazy.
We were all talking before we came on the air here that we kind of had to refresh our memory of what happened in that game. It seems like it was so long ago. However, it was a 29-28 comeback victory for the Atlanta Falcons on the road against divisional opponent Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, fellas, let's go ahead and let's dive into this one. Let's start off how we've been doing the last few weeks on revisiting what we talked about as kind of our keys, if you will.
Yeah.
All right, and I'll start it off. Mine was a special teams win.
Yeah.
And if you've been paying attention to the Falcons recently, it's been an issue for them and something that I felt like not only did – when I say win, didn't necessarily mean that they had to have a game-winning field goal, which they ended up having, but just not get beat in that phase of the game. And I think, fellas, the only thing you could kind of really say is, yeah, Zane Gonzalez did have a ball that didn't make it to the landing zone, which ended up giving up some favorable field position. But outside of that, no big returns and game-winning field goal, which is something Atlanta has been desperate to get throughout the course of this season. So I think you would say that key ended up working out.
What's your grade then?
My grade is an A-.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
If we're giving out letter grades.
Yeah.
A-. All right? Help contribute to a win, and obviously a game-winning field goal will help that happen. Shock. Complimentary play out on the perimeter. Summarize that one for us.
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You know what I'm saying? Other guys out there, other than the main key guys making plays. Because the last few weeks we've seen maybe one guy on offense, maybe just Bijan, maybe just Kyle have a significant part of the ball game. And then you look up and obviously the two main characters had their big game. But then you look up David Sills, 6 catches for 78 yards. Mooney had a couple catches. Warner had a couple catches. So I thought there were other guys who contributed to the game and were a big part of getting us a win. So, yeah, I think that was a part of the game plan, and you play well to a certain extent with complimentary guys. So, yeah, I'm going to give the guys you make dramatic plays, but they were enough plays to help you get a win. I'm going to go B+.
B+. We got A-. We got a B+.
Did you say wow?
Well, no, I think that you're undergrading yourself on that. I thought that was a key part of the game. If David Sills catches the go route, he's over 100 yards receiving.
For sure.
We're not even talking about a walk-off.
I mean, it was in my brain, but I couldn't pat myself on the back too much. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'd have did that, I know you'd have struck me down. So I had to go a little modest.
No, I thought you completely undersold you. Shocking. How about let's go ahead and give an assist to Ryan Newsel.
I know, News.
Playing on the perimeter. My man was playing 18, 19 yards downfield. Go get that recovery on the mistake by Darnell Mooney to drop it. But, man, that
News did something on that power because I don't know how he got that ball back.
There's 3 Tampa Bay jerseys on the ground.
They're more than that. They're more than that. Oh, my goodness. There's a picture that was taken of it, and Newsel's not even in the frame.
Picture, yes.
And there's 6 creamsicle jerseys around the football.
And how he got it.
And, of course, you know, they got Darnell Mooney wound up like a little, like a noodle or something like that. Unbelievable, man.
How he came out of the pile with that ball, I have no idea, but great for him. All right, Arch, limit the run game was yours.
Yeah, this is actually termed incorrectly.
Okay.
Limit the running back's ability to affect the game.
Okay. All right.
And so run game, obviously, the major part of that. Bucky Irving, Rashad White, 2 guys they like to get the football, 2 guys they like to have in the game at the same time. And you did limit the run game, just 88 yards on the ground. They were not able to invest in the run game as much because I thought Atlanta shut it down, and they were getting some plays by none other than Mike Evans. So why not go that direction? But here was the other piece of it that I mentioned. was those two guys, they like to throw those guys the ball. Remember when we talked about going into the game, their screen game to Rachaad White and Bucky Irving, those two guys had 2 catches for 17 yards in the game. So all told, just over 100 yards, but 24 touches by Irving and Rachaad White, and then had about 105 yards of offense. So
the last part about that, too, that didn't mention, they got 5 sacks, but Baker Mayfield 1 rushing yard.
Good call. Yeah, but Bake didn't get out and run the ball. So as far as mine go, I thought Shock completely underrated. Would you give yourself a B+?
B+, yeah. Like
Okay,
89. We were right on the
B.
verge to catch that by Sills. You get your 90, but, you got
Okay.
the extra credit to get that 90.
Yeah, but I thought that okay.
I was like, no.
I thought it was better than that. I think it's
Okay.
Yeah.
all right. I'll give myself a B. Then if you're a B+, I got to go B.
His
then.
brain, he like, H no.
Yours is better. Hard grader, man. Hard grader.
So you're going B?
I'll go B.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they did a pretty good job limiting the explosive plays and everything.
Well, we didn't. Well, to the backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, as
That's
it
what I'm
turns
talking
out, Mike Evans decided to come back in a fashion, didn't he? My goodness.
There wasn't a whole lot of rust there, was there? It's like
gracious.
I'm thinking, all right, what is he going to get? Like 15, 20 plays or something? I mean, he's just posting people up, going up over the top, playing with a
my dude,
passion.
man. They bullied him, bro.
I
Messed
mean,
up, man.
telling you that dude is
That young guy
special.
out there, he went to work on a young
Bully
guy. I
Kobe,
went and told Kobe Bryant comes in for Mike Hughes, and Kobe's going to be a good player. Kobe was a 3-time All Big 12 defender at Kansas and had like 13 career interceptions as a Jayhawk, but he hadn't gotten to play very much, and so he's in there and he's playing. And to draw Mike Evans, who has 11 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons.
You gonna just give me
My goodness, I thought he did a really good job of fighting. He made a really big tackle down in the red zone about the 5-yard line. Really did a good job there. But I went and saw him in the locker room after the game, and he was sitting there. I don't know if he was texting somebody. He looked a little bewildered. I said, "Dude, I mean that's this NFL now. I mean you're good. You'll be okay. You know." And I know some of his other guys that talked to him. I said, you just drew one of the 5 toughest receivers you could have drawn. At 6'5", a guy that has the confidence that dude has and what he's done. I said, man, that was a great indoctrination of the game. You're going to be better for it.
No doubt.
And he says, I appreciate it, man. And so he was good, but man, that was a tough.
Yeah,
outing.
it was humbling.
Yeah.
But I mean, sure, Mike Evans too is probably looking across the line, and he's probably licking his lips. I mean, he's thinking he's going to draw A.J. Terrell all the time, whatever the case may be. But that's what happens when you draw one of the best. That's I would say in the last 2 decades, he might go down as one of the best to play in this league when it's all said and done. But that's just the type of player that he is, and it was a tough night for Kobe Bryant. So. Those are our grades on how our keys did, and I think that would contribute to the reason why Atlanta ended up winning that game. However, it wasn't necessarily the prettiest one, guys. You think about all the penalties, set a franchise record in penalties in this game. Arch, that's another one of those departments where generally you have that many penalties, you're not winning many football games. I'd put it in the same category as turnovers, right? Mm-hmm. You end up getting walloped in the turnover margin. Like the chances of winning games are very slim. So I got to give a lot of credit for Atlanta continuing to fight, because even through the end of the third quarter, this was not looking like a good result was coming out of this thing. So I'm going to ask you, Arch, keeping in mind the penalties, and as the clock changed from the third to the fourth quarter, what was the feeling like in that building?
Yeah, I think that the feeling, obviously it's a Tampa building, so they felt good. They're in their throwback jerseys, and the likes of James Wilder and Jimmy Giles and all those guys, Doug Williams, were ringing in their heads, I guess, a little bit. But there was an extreme confidence. I think that Tampa, especially when they got that score to go at 28, Bijan fumbles the football deep in your own territory on that little angle route, and they punch that in. All of a sudden, you look up and you're down 28-14, and it was 14-13 at half, or 14-10 at half. You had the lead, and so things flipped pretty quickly. So it was not a very good third quarter for the Falcons. But the penalties. You don't get me going on the penalties.
Careful, Arch.
You're talking about 2 of the 5 or 6 least penalized teams in the National Football League going into that game. Tampa was averaging 5.5 penalties per game. Atlanta was averaging 5.6 penalties per game. Atlanta, I think, had 3 games this year where they had 8 penalties. That was their high.
Yeah.
19 is
So
insane.
you could, decipher that any way you want to, or one team's got 19 penalties and one has 4. There's only been 3 times in NFL history where 2 teams where they had that much of a differential. 15 penalties between them. One was in 1944, and the other, this same crew did the game.
Oh.
So you're saying there's a correlation.
Well, I'm not. You guys, I'm not saying anything about it. You guys can.
Not your words. They're
He's
coming
just-
from me.
I'm just
thing-
giving you the stats.
Only thing
what
he's
I'm saying?
doing is giving information.
I'm
Chuck.
giving you the
Putting the
stats.
foundation
It
out
just
there.
in all honesty, was ridiculous. Okay, AJ Terrell
5 on
had
him is
5
ridiculous.
penalties in the first 13 games of the year. He had 5 in that game. Okay, so either we got a bunch of guys in the first 13 games who were blind, or I don't know what was going on, but that's too big a disparity. That's something that has to be looked at. Now, did the Falcons commit fouls? Absolutely, but were there fouls on the other side as well? I think we all saw them. I mean, Cousins get hit in the face, and we had a guy drugged down in the back of the end zone. There were a number of things happened in it, and I'm getting way too deep in the weeds here on the penalty thing, but that was ridiculous. That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Let's, I was thinking about this morning, guys, and I'm on social media as much as, everybody else is. And it's easy to poke fingers and make fun when an organization is losing, and they always want to go to the head coach. And I saw some stuff out there where people were trying to make fun of Raheem Morris because in his press conferences talking about we got to make a play. We just didn't make any plays. And there was some jokes about it. And what I started thinking about it is, it's like, okay, if you want to make the jokes, that's fine. However, when there is a game that happens, when guys go out and they make those plays, you guys know it. Like, we've been in the building. We've been on teams. We've been in the locker room. We've watched tape before. You know when plays are being made and when plays are not being made. And he's right. There was a lot of games this year where plays were not being made. But I think when you have a game like this last week, when plays were made, that's what Raheem Morris is talking about. When field goals are made to win football games, when interceptions are made to turn the momentum around, when receivers, well, shall I call it tight ends, step up and rise to the challenge and make play after play. When David Sills makes a desperation catch when they needed one. When Kirk Cousins showed up and played his absolute tail off and made plays, right? So you want to sit there and joke about, well, all he does is say we didn't make a play. We got to make a play. We got to make a play. Guess what, fellas? They made plays against the Buccaneers. And that's what it's all about. And I don't want to sidetrack this conversation, but this weekend I've got a game where I'm doing New England at Baltimore, and I'm reading the press conference of Mike Vrabel from their game this past weekend. And you know what he said in his press conference over and over and over? We didn't make enough plays.
Yeah.
And the other guy did. Talking about Josh Allen, right? So guess what? That's the nature of the National Football League.
Yeah.
Like, players in groups of players, you either make the plays to win football games or you don't. Okay, and there was games this year where Atlanta did not make enough. But, Arch, let's talk about Kirk Cousins a little bit because he's had a tough go, all right? He's had a tough go for, call it, the last calendar year, maybe year and a half, whatever the time period you want to look at. But could have been all kinds of reasons for him not to have a great performance. Not only did he play well, he absolutely balled his face off when he didn't have his number one receiver out there and still was surgical in this game. How impressed were you from his performance on the field?
I've really been impressed with him for the last several weeks, Rack. We've talked about his ability to get the ball out. And I think that there's something to building the confidence, especially of your offensive line. If you don't turn around, your quarterback's not laying on his back behind you, the ball's out. Somebody's making a play. So I think that his decision-making has been off the charts. There's been some moments where he's missed some guys, but every quarterback does that. But I thought in this game in particular, obviously the synergy between he and Kyle Pitts, I mean, we can obviously dive into what Kyle's done in a moment because I thought there were some really special things that he did that were next level deals that he did as a receiver. But let's just take the last drive, if you will. He gets pressure in his face on 2nd and 28, tries to hit Mooney on the bang it post. He doesn't get it to him because he has pressure in his face, can't get it to him. Now it's 3rd and 28. So thought process as a quarterback. unless something opens wide open, I'm not shoving the ball down the field. I need to give myself a chance to convert on fourth down. So I needed to get a piece of it back, and preferably half of it, 2/3 of it back. He hits Kyle in the right flat, and Kyle makes a guy miss and gets him 14. That's a play that people will just throw away and forget about. Huge play.
Monster play.
Huge play by Kyle to make the defender miss, but to get Kyle the ball in time for him to give him a chance to do something. Makes the guy miss, goes and gets you 14. All right. Now you've got the whole shot on cover 2 to Sills, but Sills' adjustment to understand just sit in the hole, don't keep running, sit it down. And when he lets the ball go, Sills is probably not where he needs to be, and to get it over the underneath defender, because remember the corner's thinking, I can't give anything up behind me. I can give up something in front of me, but I got to be able to tackle it. So he's still losing ground. He's still going up the field. To drop that over the top of him, Sills climb the ladder and make the catch to put you essentially in field goal range. And then at the end, finds Mooney in the left flat, and Darnell has the wherewithal to understand, we don't have any timeouts. So he catches the football and goes wide. He probably could have got another 10 yards the inside, but he went wide and got you about 7 and got out of bounds. Now you're not in a rush. Mm-hmm. You can do whatever you want to. I just thought the execution to what you're talking about, players making plays, their quarterback directing traffic and getting it to guys, and them having to make the proper play in a key moment of the game, that's the kind of execution Raheem's been talking about. And that's what wins you football games.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins' 294th touchdown pass now ties Carson Palmer for 15th all-time in career touchdown passes. And his 1,158 passing yards against the Buccaneers over the last 2 years, most against any single team over the last 2 years. So Kirk Cousins continuing to find ways to get it done. Now, those 3 touchdowns that got him to 294 shock ended up coming courtesy of one Kyle Pitts, and a guy that we've been talking about the entire season, especially once Drake London ended up going down, needing him to be that guy. And last Thursday night, he stepped up, and he was that guy for Atlanta.
Arch talked about some of the things that happens within routes that maybe the common fan, maybe people who watch a game don't even see. And for a guy to play the tight end position and to be 250 plus, but to be able to run routes like a receiver gives him opportunities that he had in that ball game. Obviously, the one he had couple down the sideline, he uses, David Sills. They run Tampa Bay's in a traditional, what you call cover 3. Got a safety in the middle, got a corner outside, and Sills he runs the post, takes the corner out of it a little bit. But off the snap of the football, you can see Kyle hesitate a little bit, get right behind Sills, get a little vertical, and then he kind of sifts his way right down the numbers and eases his way kind of towards and stays away from that corner that could just fall off. Kirk does a good job of layering it outside to give him a chance to stay away from that particular corner. And then you talk about the shallow cross. It looks like he's wide open. They're trying to talk about it. You see, comes in motion, the guy talking about it, then subtle movement at the top of the line of scrimmage, get vertical, and then jets across. By that time, it's too late. They can't pick him up. He runs away from coverage. Small things at the line of scrimmage help him win routes. And for a guy his size, there was a play on 3rd and 7. Guy in Kirk's face. Kirk's having to bail away. Man coverage over the middle. Kirk, and then my man Kyle uses his body to come down with a big boy catch. I'm talking about stretching up, having to elevate above and go get the football on 3rd and 7, which is a huge play to keep that drive going, and he comes down with it. Those are the type of plays you expect number 8 to make when you're drafted in my top 10 pick. These are the type of matchups he can go out and win. He continued to be the go-to guy, obviously, and you look at the stat sheet. He had 11 catches, right? He had 12 targets. That tells you every time the football's coming his way, guess what? Either he coming down with it or that one time you didn't make the catch. So you love the fact that your big-time playmaker steps up in the ballgame. I heard him talk to Arch after the ballgame about not having his number 1 guy. And he said, when that guy goes down, I knew I had to step up. It's kind of like the old adage you guys talked about last week of, I want the football. Mm-hmm. And when he was talking to you, Arch, he had the look in his eye like, yeah, throw me the ball. I'm the dude that's going to step up and be the guy for you when you need me when our number one guy is down. And you can see the confidence building over the last few weeks, and he continues to play at a high level and be that guy that I know the Falcons, draft him to be. And Raheem could have nothing but glowing things to say about him and how he said it was inspiring to see him go out and play in the manner that he played. And so, yeah, kudos to Kyle, but also kudos to Kirk, as you guys just talked about, giving him those opportunities, but also putting him in places where he can go and be successful going to get the football.
Kyle Pitts, 11 catches, 166 yards, 3 touchdowns, all career highs for him. The 166 yards, most receiving yards by a tight end in the National Football League this season. But even more impressive was his I saved this after I saw it after the game. His 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, first tight end to have both of those since Shannon Sharp in 1996.
Crazy.
That should just think about how long ago that was now.
Yeah.
Right? So pretty impressive his performance that he was able to put together. And Arch, I want to tee you back up with this because we've mentioned a couple of times, whether it was last week, David Sills, last week or the week before, missing one of the catches on the final drive, a chance to be able to move the ball down the field, misses the touchdown in this game. But however, comes back and he makes that play on 4th down. That was a difference maker, right? I mean, they obviously they don't win this game. To me, that's a testament to him not letting the past affect the future. And I just wanted to give you a moment to talk about like how important that is and how big of a moment that was for him in his career to kind of just like exhale a little bit like, yes, I can make, not only can I make plays, but I can make plays when my team desperately needed it.
Yeah, it gives him – he's been a guy that had an incredible career in college at West Virginia. In 2 seasons, his last 2 seasons at West Virginia, he had 35 touchdowns. I mean, it's unbelievable, the numbers he put up as a Mountaineer. And it's kind of been tough to find his treading here, or, find his footing here in the National Football League. He's been a couple places. Obviously won his job here in training camp to be a guy that was going to be part of the 6 receivers or 7 receivers you have available. And now all of a sudden with Drake London's injury, he's been forced into kind of being that big other receiver opposite Kyle. And so he had to make some complimentary plays. And I started kind of feeling some kind of way when he dropped the touchdown. He has a walk-in touchdown and drops the pass. And to Rack's point, I think if you're going to play at this level, we're all going to have failures. It's how do you respond to those failures? What do you do when adversity hits? How do you handle it? Do you get up off the deck? Are you over-cowering on the bench? Are you worried about that catch so now you don't make the next catch? You hear all the time, don't let that play beat you on this play. And David didn't do that. And we talk about, and certainly should talk about the catch. He makes the whole catch I talked about on 4th and 14 along the sidelines to set up Zane Gonzalez for essentially a field goal opportunity. But don't forget the other play that helped set up the touchdown prior to, where they're running a fake screen left side and Sills widens. Sills widens to block and then runs a post off. It was a great design by Zach Robinson that makes it look like they're going to throw quick screen with 2 guys in front, and he comes off of it and runs a little bang-it post to the inside, sticks him in traffic, makes the catch, punches it inside the 10-yard line. He ended up having 6 catches, 78 yards, could have had over 100 yards that he caught the 1 pass, but he caught enough passes and made enough of a difference, like Shock was talking about, the periphery guys, the perimeter guys. Who else is going to step up other than Kyle Pitts? So I thought that David Sills showed what kind of professional he is, and he certainly, to me, told me that, hey, that's a guy I'd like to have on my team if I need him, And so the one other thing about Kyle Pitts, and you did such a great job of talking about the things that he did, the maturity that he continues to come with, his aggressiveness, his anger. He needs to play the game angry, and he's played the game angry the last 3 weeks. He's got 26 receptions in his last 3 games, and he's been that go-to guy. He's run a lot of Drake's routes, certainly, but he ran a route, and I know you know the one I'm talking about, Shock. We motioned over into a tight bunch look right side, and we need a conversion. and he's running the option route, and he leases up the field.
Just
and so
sits there,
his idea of understanding where leverage was, he does a Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
He doesn't even run a route. He just runs up the field and just kind
Turns, yeah.
of turns and goes to the sideline. And Kirk is right on the same page with him. I talked to him about that. I mean, those are the kind of things, if you go back and you look at Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't even run routes.
Yeah.
He'll just run up and get in the middle of the field. And it was the feel of the game. To me, Kyle has gone back to who he was as a rookie, where he's aggressive and probably playing more angry now than he was then, but he's expecting the football, and his growth as a player and understanding what people are trying to do coverage-wise, off the charts. So I just wanted to add that to what Shock had already said about him. The guy played. You hope that that's the way he plays all the time. Now the big question for the fan is, how do you incorporate when Drake comes back? There's a good chance Drake plays this week. How do you incorporate those two guys back in? Because you have to have those. You know what you're going to get from Drake. You need to have that Kyle Pitts on the field that's that angry, throw-me-the-ball guy like you talked about.
Well, I want to add one last thing to what Art just talked about with obviously David Sills and that particular route that he caught. If you watch the Falcons, you've watched them run that screen to Bijan a lot of times. Got Kyle come in motion. Looks like he's going to block the corner that's over top of Bijan, and you throw it to Bijan. He goes out. He makes his 7-8 yards or whatever it may be. And they've also ran, fake it to Bijan, and then you got Kyle run the wheel route down the side. Arch talked about the professionalism, and I think the professionalism for David Sills was, this ball I know is going to me because they're faking it to those two guys, but I have to do my job first, which is delay, stalk, and then I got to get into that little voided area. I thought he did such a good job of not going fast, not trying to, you know what, I know I'm getting this football, so I'm excited, and I don't do what I need to do. Other guys are selling it, and I try to go fast, and you rush it, and all of a sudden that safety's sitting there because you didn't sell it good enough.
Right.
He did such a good job of selling it, doing his part of that particular play, which allowed him to get the ball. And you remember, that's after the big drop. So in my mind, I'm like, you know what, I got another opportunity to make a play. So you don't rush it. You go through what you're supposed to, and the professional part of David Sills come through with a big-time play. And even though you have that drop, you come back. That's what your teammates remember, is you having that resilient nature about you to be able to come back and make a play when your number is called. And that's Z-Rob calling your number, not calling Bijan, not calling Kyle. He's calling your number and to go make a play.
So Kirk Cousins with his 32nd game-winning drive since he entered the league in 2012. That's the fourth most among quarterbacks in that span. I also want to make sure that we give a shout-out to Bijan Robinson. He is the one that you could say, if there is a model of consistency on this team, it's Bijan Robinson. He ends up with 27 touches for 175 yards in this game. And it's whatever you need out of him. You need running game, you need physicality, you need quickness, you need shake, you need receiver out of the backfield, you need whatever it is. He's going to be able to give it to you, and he does that week in and week out. And how he continues to play at this level, I think the average fan, you're spoiled. Let me just say that, because it is not as easy as he makes it look. I've said this over the years. When I used to watch Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, like watching those guys on Sunday and think that that is just normal, like it is abnormal. They make it look so much easier than it actually is, and I think Bijan Robinson is now in that conversation. Last thing I wanted to say about the game, guys, D. Alford with a huge pick in the game, and James Pierce Jr., again, getting a sack. Is that 7 straight games now with a sack, I believe? Is that the correct number?
Six
or 7?
I think it's 6.
6 straight games with a sack.
Leading the team
So
with sacks. It's crazy, right?
he continues
8 sacks.
to show up every single week, getting after the quarterback, and it's impressive to see his continued growth.
Yeah, you've got guys. You now have 10 players with 2+ sacks on this team. You have 5 players with 4+ sacks and 15 players with at least 1 sack on this team. They now have 48 sacks, which ties for second all-time in Falcon history, chasing the team that I think it was the 98 team or 96 that went to the Super Bowl, 55 sacks, Chuck Smith and that crew.
Yeah.
So that's certainly within range. And give Jeff Ulbrich a ton of credit, realizing we talked a little bit about Kobe Bryant and Kobe playing that corner spot to the wide side. Remember, what happens is Hughes plays wide side of the field and AJ's the boundary corner. And they didn't want to have to switch AJ over on Mike Hughes every snap. So Kobe's playing the wide side of the field, so they changed up coverage and they ran some 3 buzz, and they played cover 3 behind it to give Kobe the ability to lose ground and get back. But they buzzed D. Alford out underneath the play, and he almost got to one earlier in the game. But great call by Jeff Ulbrich there, having an understanding, hey, they're going to try to touch that wide side of the field. And obviously the athleticism of D to go up and get the football. I mean, he went up the ladder to go get that.
Thing.
But it's a call play, call defense to buzz him underneath the outside breaking route to the wide side of the field. So I give Ulbrich a lot of credit. You know, he's designing and calling up a lot of these pressure looks and stuff. That was just a zone coverage look that he called up to try to get Alford out underneath that route, and it was the perfect call.
Yeah, we did. We probably gave the majority of the attention on this show to the offensive side, and that's no disrespect to the defense. I think sometimes it's just the weeks. We've talked a lot about defense because they've been the more consistent unit for a lot of these games, and particularly the losses that Atlanta's ended up having. But I think when there's performances like the offense had when you needed it, you got to make sure that we emphasize that, talk about it, and give those guys their kudos. So it was a great win for Atlanta to go on the road, divisional, when you don't have anything at stake other than professionalism, pride, and wanting to play one of your division rivals hard. They were able to do that. So from a division rival to outside of the division, staying in the conference, but heading out to play another bird team, a little bird-on-bird action, Arizona Cardinals. And this Arizona Cardinals, guys, it's going to look a lot different than the team that you might have expected coming into the season. They got Jacoby Brissett playing quarterback now, wide receivers banged up, Trey McBride, the tight end is having a phenomenal year for them. Michael Wilson's been stepping up after the injuries that they've had on the outside. But Arch, to kind of walk us through what Atlanta's going to see in a 3-11 Cardinals team that is actually only 1-6 at home this year.
Well, this is a team that's played 9 one-score games. They've only won 2 of them. And a lot of those one-score games are similar opponents that we've seen. They played 1 score with the 49ers, 1 with the Seattle Seahawks. They've played very close with a lot of really good football teams. I think the Denver, they might even have played Denver this year. It was a 1-score game. But 9 one-score games have only been able to come on top in 2 of them. They've been run on the last 2 weeks. The Rams really lit them up in the run game. And then this last weekend, Houston ran for about 145 yards on them. I think the Rams ran for almost 250 yards on them 2 weeks ago. So they've been touched up in the run game. It's a team that has 25 sacks. 11 of those are from Josh Sweat, so you better make sure you get a hat on Josh Sweat off the edge. They have had their quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, and others, Kyler Murray and whoever else has played quarterback, has been sacked 47 times on the year. So get ready. You got a chance to maybe go hunt and eat that way. They've been able to take the ball away. They've taken the ball away as much as we have. And it's one of those teams, kind of one of those weird scenarios, Shock, in that when you start looking at playoff teams, a lot of times that plus minus, you talk about that all the time. The plus minus is where it's supposed to be. You're plus whatever. You look at Chicago, I think they're like plus 17. They're at the top of that stat. But if you go down through it, it's almost all playoff teams. Atlanta +1 in the giveaway takeaway. I think it's the only sub 500 team there. Arizona just fell below that. I think they're -1, but they're in pretty good stead there as well. But they've got some solid players on their side of the ball. Obviously Josh Sweat, Budda Baker. Anybody remembers this team or this team defensively? Budda Baker. They're challenged offensively. So don't fall into the McBride sandwich, if you will. Give a little shout out to McDonald's there, the McBride sandwich. Let's make sure we don't get that.
Shock, without going too deep back into Tampa, I want to ask you this question: what can Atlanta take from their performance last week on Thursday Night Football? Without getting into key here, like this is not a key, I'm saying what facet of last Thursday night's win against Tampa do you want to see carry over into this Arizona game?
I think it's the one thing that we've talked about the last 6 or 7 weeks is your ability to finish. And you found a way to finish this last ball game. And you talk about the 19 penalties. You're talking about being able to get 5 sacks. You talk about Kyle Pitts having a big day. All those things within the game were big. You've had those moments throughout the year as well where guys have showed up and made big plays. Defenses had games where you had 5, 6 sacks and you still find a way to lose the ball game. But I thought being able to finish a ball game, Arch went through that last drive. and the execution that comes with being able to finish a drive like that, but also go finish it and go win the ball game. And I think that's big in this league. Just talked about a team that's 3-11, but they've been in all these one-score ball games. And you're talking about being able to finish a ball game. The Falcons have been in plenty of those ball games as well, but haven't been able to finish. The one thing I take away from last week is you found a way to go win a ball game at the end when you needed to and go finish it. So if you go in the locker room after the ball game and you feel good about the way you came out with the win, you got to point to the fourth quarter of that ball game. And you always talk about the moments in a ball game, when in the middle, late, all that kind of stuff matters. But it's a reason we talk fourth quarter when we start talking this ball game, because that's what really mattered. That's what's mattered majority of the season. The Falcons have been in, 10, 12 of these ball games and just haven't been able to finish a lot of them. That game, you found a way to go win and finish the ball game at the end by execution on both sides. Your defense gave you an opportunity to go do it again. With D. Alford's pick, you go down, you execute, you go do that. So I think finishing the ball game is going to be huge.
You made a great point, Shock, because you think about the teams, and I'm on a show here with two quarterbacks, you guys, and I think about the last, what do you want to call it, 5-7 years, the quarterbacks and the teams that continue to fight for 4 quarters, 60 minutes, and never believe that they're out of it are the teams that come to my mind are the Ravens, the Bills, and the Chiefs. And because those 3 teams have quarterbacks that are ultimate competitors and they never feel like they're out of the game. And to your point, Shock, they play for 4 quarters and they finish. And just, again, I'm thinking about the Bills last week, like they were getting ran out the gym by the Patriots. And what did Josh Allen say? Hold my drink.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
He came back. And so that's the difference in the NFL is like even when you find yourself behind, you got to find a way to finish. So I'm glad that you ended up throwing that out. So, fellas, let's get into our keys for this week. It can be something that you saw last week. It could be something that you think is important. It could be something that you're exploiting because it's a weakness for the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm going to go first here, give you guys another second to think about it. But we talk a lot of times, specifically with this Atlanta offense, about staying on schedule, right? Cannot get backed up. It's going to make things ultimately more difficult. I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to say for the defense to make Arizona play off schedule because you talked about their inability to get away from some of the pass rush. So what happens when you get people off schedule is they get predictable. They got to throw the football. That's when you can pin your ears back, and that's when you can get after the quarterback. So I'm going to say for the defense, the key is to get Arizona off schedule, whether that's by your behalf, right, because you get a tackle for loss, you get a sack on first down, or maybe it's you get a gift and there's a penalty on the offense, but then you make them pay for the penalty, right? Keep them backed up behind the change, and let's see what happens. Let's see how good this offense is against the way that Atlanta this year can get after the quarterback if they're off schedule. If they've got 2nd and 17, if they got 3rd and 12, I like Atlanta's chances with what they can do from a pass rush perspective this year if they can force those. So get them off schedule with the chains. Arch, what's yours?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different places to go. That's a great one. If you go back and you look at the Texan game, they lost to the Texans 40-20 this weekend. Their offense had not been on the field yet, and they were down 10-0. Houston went down the field, scored a touchdown, kicked off. They fumbled the kickoff.
Yeah,
Arizona recovered it, Houston recovered it. Arizona, give them credit, they bowed their back defensively and forced a field goal. But by the time their offense was on the field, they were down 10-0. They went 3 and out the next series. All 3 plays were negative plays like you're talking about. They punted. Houston went down the field and scored a touchdown. They were down 17-0. They touched the ball one time. That's where I would like to try to take them mentally, and it's along the same lines of what you're talking about. Can you get them feeling like, here's another one of those scenarios. Talked about 9 one-score games. They've only won 2 of them. Let's not make it a one-score game. They've been, and we've had it happen to us a couple times as well, but they've been blown out in about 4 games. And most recently last week, Houston took them out and beat them up pretty good. So I would say, and I know fast start goes away, so that can't necessarily be it. The thing I'll fall into is a little bit along the same lines you're talking about. Don't let McBride be the guy that beats you, okay? Because they really don't have a lot of other options. it's strange because if you look at them on the outside and you looked at us on the outside, you say, wow, these are two very similar teams. Got their backup quarterback playing. Now, we're much better in the backfield than they are. We're much more sound. But they're depending on their tight end to make all these plays, which is what Atlanta's been doing. So I would say don't let McBride beat you, and let's see if we can, make them feel like they were in last week's game.
Arch, I was thinking when that was your initial thought was give them deja vu.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good way to put it.
Give them deja vu, like, uh-oh, here we go again. All right, Shock, what you got for us?
It's unbelievable. If you're listening, you won't be able to see this, but I'm gonna show people who are actually who may be watching. If you could see on my pad here, it says, you can zoom in right there. Limit McBride.
I don't think they can see it because the lights.
See it. You probably can't see it, yeah, for sure.
But it was a good attempt.
There we go. We're going to zoom in right there. Right there.
Oh, wait, there we go. Hold on.
Limit McBride right there. Look at the last 3 games. Look at these numbers right here. I was going to set it up by saying, Arch, what did you say about Kyle Pitts?
By the way, that's the same notebook he had in 7th grade, by the way. I want you to know.
Let's see, Arch, how many catches Kyle Pitts had last 3 games? 26. Well, Trey McBride last 3 games, 25 catches, 31. So my brain has to go elsewhere now.
No, it's okay.
No.
It's okay.
It's cool. For me, I'll jump on the other side. You guys, did a really swell job. Arch crushed me at the end right there. I thought he was gone.
This is just a reminder. Let Shock go first.
No. It's all good. I think for me, I'm going to say continue consistent play with your guys, like Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. Continue to feed those guys because I think you can get away from teams knowing, okay, we're going to try to get Bijan the ball. We're going to get Cal the ball. We're going to get these guys plays. I say continue to feed your horses because they have gotten you here. They put you in position to win ball games. So continue to feed the guys that got you here. The last 3 weeks has been number 8. It's been number 7 all year. But continue to feed your horses, man, and they'll take you to where you need to be.
All right, there you go, folks. Those are keys to the game by your Falcons Audible crew here. I started off with defense needs to keep Arizona off schedule. Arch gave us a couple. I nicknamed one of them. I nicknamed one of them to give them deja vu of what's happened throughout the course of the season. Make them say, uh-oh, here we go again, but also don't let Trey McBride beat you.
I'm glad you kept Arch accountable because if it was me, he would have shocked. How many are you going to give us? So I'm glad that you went there and said he gave us a couple.
So write this down. Let Shock go first next
I don't want to go first. I don't want to go first.
Shock goes first next time.
It was a great one.
First, okay.
Great minds think alike. That's all I'm saying.
That's fine, and I'm
think
good
like
with
Arch
that.
is great.
And I'm good with that. But then you thinking on your feet and saying playmakers need to stay consistent, continued to feed the beast, right? Isn't that what we're going with?
Feed the horses.
Feed the horses.
Feed our birds.
Give them, feed the birds. You got horses, then you went to birds. That's a completely different meal, by the way.
The right dirty birds.
I like the Falcon over a Cardinal. Cardinal's a really neat bird and all that kind of stuff.
It's a neat bird.
It's not a bird. It's not a bird of prey.
Here's what I would say. The Cardinals logo is cute. Like the Falcons logo looks fierce.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, we need that. We need fierce
Falcons.
All right.
Folks, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy all the content we bring you all season long. I feel like this crew gives it to you a little bit differently. You got 3 former players here that can actually walk through what happened in the game, but the more of the nuances as to why it worked out or why it didn't work out. And we feel like that's one of the things that we bring to the table, and hopefully you guys all enjoy that as well. Remember us to follow us on all your podcast apps and like, comment, subscribe, review, all of those things.
Archie, make the Pro Bowl? I know voting was done.
Voting is
we got a couple
up.
Couple guys in the mix.
Yeah,
couple
some guys in the
we'll
mix.
have to see how it plays out. But Bijan,
I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about you. You go.
No, I'm not going. Not going. I can't get over that wall. That wall they make them climb over.
Look. We saw Phillip Rivers came back.
Which one be your? Ooh,
Phillip Rivers came back. I'm just saying,
dude. You don't think that I wasn't out in the cul-de-sac throwing it and working loosening the arm?
Not only did he come back, they almost won.
Get that ball out.
How bad my boy looked though when he slipped on the logo belt.
Trying to get up, trying to get back down. He was like, "Oh no, I'm getting down. I ain't playing." Yeah.
Hold on.
All right, we're not here to talk about the Colts, but sometimes we got to give all the news going around the league. All right, that's going to wrap it up here. Falcons Audible presented by AT&T. We'll be back here in about a week to wrap up a massive game. Well, first of all, we'll wrap up the Cardinals game, but then we're going to have a preview of what's going to happen on Monday Night Football as Matthew Stafford, former dog, and the LA Rams in town to play the Falcons. Many people think that the LA Rams, one of the best teams in the league right now, although they did get a little bit of injury news last week.
Yeah, one seed in the NFC right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what's on the docket, but first things first, Arizona Cardinals. All right, hope you guys enjoyed the show. That's going to wrap it up. That's CJ Shockley, Dave Archer. I'm Derek Rackley. That is that's the old school logo.
You try to say,
it's still fierce. It's still fierce. There's only 2 pages left on his pad, by the way. I'm Derek Rackley. Thanks for joining us, everybody.